Ladies and gentlemen, if you are listening to this right now, asking yourself, what do the questions of the universe hold, then we must sadly tell you, we got nothing. We Got Nothing is brought to you by 1UP Arcade and Pub. Whether it's the fear of creepazoids at Retro, the shouting of the emotionally stunted pizza dude at Bono, or the drunken brawls between college students on Margaret Street between the hours of 11 and 4 at night, Plattsburgh's bar scene can be potentially hazardous, if not entertaining. Enter 1UP. All of the fun, none of the BS. A pub appropriate for Plattsburgh Samaritans of all ages. If the kind attitudes of the staff are not welcoming enough, then the allure of video game nostalgia is sure to leave you intoxicated, better than any IPA ever could. Boasting a wide and lovely roster of classics including Space Invaders, Terminator Judgment Day, and Pac-Man, 1UP provides an uplifting space isolated from the riffraff of most Plattsburgh bar life. Being located on 22 Brinkerhoff, a few doors down from the Strand, it is the perfect location to enjoy fried cheese curds and a nice beer while trouncing friends and family in classic arcade-style combat. 1UP, the best place to upgrade your bar game. And greetings and salutations, my psychedelic children, my beautiful souls, and welcome once again to the podcast that transcends up and down the Eastern Coast. We got nothing. I am your lovely host, Catalyst Jost, being joined today by quite an old friend of mine. He is a dice thrower, he is a rock and roller, he is a Marine, but he's not that obscene. Please help me welcome the Golden Eagle, Tyler Lautenschuetz. Everybody! What's
Dear
good?
Lord, how the hell do I follow that? That was amazing. Oh my gosh. This is so much. This is a lot. I'm overstimulated by it. How incredible this intro has been. Oh my gosh.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing stellar. I'm just chilling in my apartment, sitting down, about to talk some smack, just chilling. I'm having a great day. How about you?
Not too bad. I got some laundry done. The coin laundry shop is right down the road from me. Currently I'm at an Airbnb where, there is a lot of, a lot of different places where I can get everything I need. Couple blocks away is Walmart. Walgreens is literally 2 doors down. And of course, then again, there's the laundry, and oh my God, the restaurants here, to die for.
To die for? What city are you in again?
I am currently in Orlando, within the Sunshine Wasteland of Florida.
Sunshine Wasteland? That sounds like a beer or something.
Ooh. That could be a nice drink mix. I wonder, what would you think would be mixed with it?
Sunshine Wasteland's definitely got orange juice in it. Maybe orange juice and rum and something else. It gives me piratey vibes,
Okay, so therefore that's gonna have Captain Morgan in it of some kind. But what goes well flavor-wise with orange?
Oh God, you're gonna ask me flavor profile questions right off the bat? This is not my area of expertise. Let's see here.
Neither is it mine.
I don't know. All I got is rum. That's all I got. It's keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. That's
keep it simple, stupid. So probably a splash of Captain Morgan, a bit of orange juice. It's already sweet enough as it is. So maybe add some sort of sour base to it, perhaps.
Maybe a little chocolate to go crazy. Go stupid.
Ooh, okay. You know what? I think that could work. All right,
Chocolate liqueur.
Chocolate liqueur. Yes. So everyone who is listening right now who is a bar goer or a bartender, you just got yourself a new drink mix. Sunshine Wasteland by the Golden Eagle, Tyler Lautenschuetz, and Catalyst Jost.
It seems pretty basic. I feel like that's definitely already a cocktail that exists, but so sorry for anybody that bartends that has to painfully listen to this now.
It's okay. We'll give like 10 cents if the drink itself is already copyrighted.
Okay. I can sleep well now.
All right. Fair enough. So now I mentioned before it's been a while since we really interacted, and I paid attention somewhat to little bits of your journey right now. Where are you living at, or more accurately, stationed at?
So I am a reservist. So basically, what that means is that I only have to report to my unit once a month for usually a weekend, a couple of days. Apart from that, I can just carry on with my whatever normal civilian life that I have. So currently, I live in a cute little apartment in Portland, Maine.
Ooh, okay.
Right on the ocean, and I love it here. It's amazing. I was in Plattsburgh up until like a year ago, almost a year ago exactly, is when I moved out of Plattsburgh to Maine. It's been amazing. And then my unit is in Massachusetts, so I have to drive a few hours to get there once a month. But it's not that bad. Because from Plattsburgh, it was like it was like 5 hours or something from Plattsburgh, 5-hour drive, which is like not ideal. So power off of that drive by moving.
Well, what is it? Yeah, it takes about 6 hours or so to get to Maine itself.
From Platts Vegas.
From Platts Vegas.
Yeah, it's either 5 or 6 hours. I don't really remember.
There's not a hell of a lot of traffic on the way, but it also depends on how long the Vermont ferry takes if you go that route.
Yeah, I usually take the ferry. It's pretty reliable, I gotta say. I've never had to wait super long, but I mean, I've only gone home a few times in the last year. I've gone home like 3 times in the last few months, and it's been pretty reliable. I'm not gonna lie. I can't really complain. Shout out to everyone that works on the ferry and keeps that shit running because it seems like a headache. So. Oh
God, when how many times does the lake freeze over during winter if it's bad? Like we're talking, it only takes once and it just has to stay that way. Jesus.
Yeah, freaking the Great White North. That's where we are.
The thing about it is moving away from the cold reaches of wait, what am I saying? You're more up north, aren't you? Yeah.
No, I'm a little further south. Where I am in Maine. So like Maine extends further north, but I'm at like the very bottom of Maine. I'm only like an hour from New Hampshire, so.
Okay, so what is it? Have you seen weird things yet, like clowns, sentient cars,
The Loch Ness Monster.
Or what is it? A mad what do you call it there? Saint Bernard. I'm referencing Stephen King. If you haven't caught on yet.
No, yep, I got there. I was about to drop some misty, a little bit of the mist in there, but I couldn't think of a clever way to do it, so I was just waiting for you to finish.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. So what's in terms of location and like, I guess the word would be culture. What is the biggest differences between where you're at and Plattsburgh?
Okay, so the reason I love where I am so much is because it's similar enough, like geographically, to Plattsburgh and like upstate New York, where it doesn't feel like I'm super far away from home. Like I still have the mountains and I have the trees, but instead of Lake Champlain, I have the fucking ocean. So
that is true. That is facts. Yes, and salt water is actually very good for your skin.
It is. You get that exfoliation, you know what I'm saying? So it's similar enough environmentally, but like it's different enough in like a cooler way. So it's like all pros when it comes to that. There's still mountains, there's still trees and forests, but also I have the ocean.
Yes.
But then like culture-wise, it's, God, I don't want to like step on toes here, but it's definitely like a more, I want to say like accepting sort of culture. When I think of Plattsburgh, I think of very. It's a college town. Like that's what it is. Plattsburgh is a college town, but it's like a college town in the middle of nowhere, kind of. In terms of like bigger cities, like the only bigger cities around are like Burlington across the water, and then like Montreal in Canada. But other than that, like Albany is like hours away, so it's like it's a little more like isolated, and like there's a lot more. It's a lot more cliquey. You have like the sororities and the fraternities.
Oh
and,
God,
like,
yes.
Like everybody knows everybody, and there's like these. It's almost like gang. There's like these gangs.
No.
Not to that extent, you know. Like
well, here's what I've found. Like there's college towns are everywhere, and people think that they're the same, but. Being down here in Orlando, like Orlando it's not a college town, it's a college city. So there's a difference between rural and urban college towns, if that makes a little bit more sense. Like you were saying with Plattsburgh there, the big thing is like a lot of rich families send their kids to the Plattsburgh area, if not like the occasional like genius or whatnot, but also if they were a real genius they wouldn't be going to SUNY Platts, but that's just my opinion anyway.
Slammed.
Roasted. Yeah, with Plattsburgh, there's definitely a bit more of a cliquey vibe. Like, I mean, you can be charismatic and be able to talk to anyone as much as you want, but this doesn't just extend to the college itself. This can also extend to the rest of town, like especially with the bar scene and especially with like, I mean, Plattsburgh is very inclusive to many different kinds of cultures, but like when you get it more into the one-on-ones in terms of people, that's where you start seeing the separations of groups and whatnot. Here in Orlando, like because the population is so big, you see more people very accepting. You see more people open. Dude, being from New York, and when I just wake up in the morning, I'm on the bus to go to work, and I already have 3 people, before I enter the job, I already have 3 people asking me, like, good morning, how you doing? And my first response is to say, fuck you, don't talk to me, or worse, flat out, like, be hostile. But that's also because I'm not a morning person. But
don't talk to me till I've had my coffee.
Facts.
That old chestnut.
Yeah, but it does teach you a lot about, and especially growing up in the area in town we did, like, it shows you that there's so much more of a different world out there, that there are more opportunities than just like, the 5 biggest jobs that actually earn you money within the 518 area code.
Everyone there is like, you're either a CO or you work at the hospital. Like those are the main 2 things that families stick around in Plattsburgh for. I don't know. I just
or factory workers. Don't forget factory workers.
When you were like, there's so much more out there, because like I truly feel like so many people that live in Plattsburgh like feel like there's like they can't leave, or like they get stuck. They just get comfortable, you know? Like it's a comfortable town, and when you get comfortable, you just get complacent, and you're just like, they'll romanticize the idea of like all of these places, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I would love to like go vacation here or go vacation there. Like just get up and go, you know? Like just move there. Like
I think where it becomes harder is the fact that economic-wise, compared to other areas, not just in the state, but in general, like it really is a decently affordable place to live. If you're smart, that was a nice burp. Not really, but it is a good place economic-wise to live, especially if you're on your own, or heck, it's a good area to raise a family. It's a safe area to raise a family in. And honestly, with between the nature and the mountains, like it's a good place to retire too. Like you don't have to worry about much. It's a fisherman's, it's a paradise. It's a ski nuts paradise. Like, but like say if you're in your mid-20s to like mid-30s and you're trying to discover yourself, like, there is a lot of limited opportunity to do so there.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I don't want to sound like I'm talking too much smack about Plattsburgh because, like, it was, like, I was there, obviously, until I was 24. Yeah, I was 24 when I moved.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, up until then, I was, like, there the whole time, and I was, like, I was safe and comfy and cozy. Like, I actually loved my job. Like, before I moved, I was the deli manager down at the Lake Placid Price Chopper for a little while. And
now Market 32.
I was making decent money, and, like, I had a pretty sweet living situation, and there's mountains all around, and it's really pretty. But there was always that thought in the back of my head where I was like, there is so much more. Like, there is so much more, just in the world in general. And, like, not that I've gone super far away. I'm literally, like, 5 hours away, so I didn't do anything revolutionary here. But, like, just moving to a different city is, like, enough to, like, jumpstart the ambition and, like, the motivation in you to just be like, oh shit, like, look at all these, like, new people. Like, I've met so many amazing people. Like as soon as I moved here, I just got so lucky, and I met these, like, life-changing people that have made such an impact that I would never have met if I didn't move here. Like, I would have no idea they exist. And and all of the stories that the different people have to tell that have been all over the world, and, like, you're just so limited if you stay in the same spot for too long, is how I feel about it. So you should at least, like, branch out a little bit. Go live somewhere, even if it's financially tough. Like, I knew full well that I was gonna be, like, in a horrible situation when I moved here, because I moved here basically, like, with my girlfriend at the time. We moved here, and we were like, we were going through a little bit of a rough spot when we were moving. And I knew in my head, I was like, if we break up, like, this is going to suck. Like,
right.
We're both going to be alone in this new city with no friends. Like, the rent will double because we had to, like, eventually, like, she moved out and everything. Mm-hmm. So, like, it was financially the most stressful place I've ever been in life. But, like, the experience and, like, the inner growth that happened in those shitty months was, like, so worth it, and I don't regret a thing, honestly. Like, it's crazy.
That's phenomenal to hear, brother. What do you exactly, whatever you're allowed to tell me, like, what do you do on these, on the days or weekends where you have to report in with your unit? Like, what's the itinerary comprised of?
Okay, so, like, what does the average drill weekend look like, basically?
Yeah.
Usually, typically, okay, so if you're in the military, you have an MOS, a military occupation specialty, which is just a fancy word for a job. Like, it's like any other job. I work for the military. I'm a Marine, but I also have a job that I have to do for the Marines. And my job, so I have two of them. The first one that I have is a motor vehicle operator, or motor T. And all that means is that I drive big trucks. That's pretty much it. I drive big trucks around, and I perform, like, first echelon maintenance, like, do preventative checks and stuff, make sure that, like, the vehicles are good to go. I don't do anything crazy. I'm not a mechanic. But it's just simple stuff like fuel in the trucks, coolant, fluids, checking everything, checking, like, all the fluid levels, and making sure the trucks aren't crumbling and falling apart on the road, which they usually are. But yeah, so that's my job. And then my second job, my secondary MOS is a marksmanship coach.
Oh, shoot! So you like teach the recruits, like, proper ways to get the most accurate shot, so to speak.
Not recruits. I'm teaching, like, I'm teaching fully marined Marines.
Fully Marines.
Yeah. But whenever we have ranges and stuff, like, a good example of when I had to use my secondary MOS for marksmanship instructor, or coach, not instructor, because that's a different billet. But anyway, when I was in Massachusetts for a couple weeks. That's what my last post on Instagram was about. I had, like, 2 weeks where I went to Massachusetts, and I was basically like running a range. Like I was punching way above my weight class for like my rank and my billet. I was doing a lot more than I should have been doing, but I was essentially running through all of these ranges and making sure the Marines were we're shooting with the proper technique and we're hitting their targets and doing it in a safe manner. And I just, it's coaching, it's marksmanship coaching, making sure people are hitting the targets the way they want to. And if they're not hitting the targets the way they want to, then I tell them how to get good. And that's my secondary job.
The fact that you used the term "get good" for that. Oh.
No, I mean, sometimes you just gotta. Sometimes they just suck. Like when I was on the range, we shot M6. The only thing that I was coaching for was M16s and the SIGs, 6 hours. It's like an M18 pistol, just a small little pistol. And we shot ranges for both of those, and sometimes you just have shooters that just kind of suck. Like for the standards of the Marine Corps, I should say.
Gotcha.
Because like, it's a very, like, the Marines in general, it's basically like a fraternity or like a cult. Like when it comes down to it, it's just a cult with a bunch of I don't even know how to describe us. Just a bunch of like bozos that are really good at doing like very specific things. Like Marines are fucking trained well, and we take it really seriously. We work the hardest and play the hardest, I would say. Like,
I mean, they're the upper echelon when it comes to the branches in general, right?
I would say yes, because it's, to be honest with you, like, the United States does not need the Marine Corps at all. The only reason the Marine Corps exists still today is because the United States wants a Marine Corps. We don't need them. Like, our military has modernized enough to the point where like all of our bases are pretty much covered by the Army and the Air Force and the Navy and now the Space Force, so like all of the bases are covered.
I can't
but
believe
the Marines are specialized, and we do it better than they do because of our training. And it's simply not reasonable to train in mass the Army, the other branches, like the way that we train Marines, because it's fucking hard, like it's that simple. Like we do stuff that nobody else wants to do, and we go places where nobody else wants to go. And this is me speaking from just the point of view of like a humble reservist that's been in for like 5 years. I'm just a corporal of Marines. I've been in for 5 years. I'm a reservist motor T. So like I have none of the breadth of experience that most Marines that have my time and grade have, because I'm a reservist. I got the same training going in, but like I've never been on a deployment. Like I wanted to. I tried volunteering for some, but it just never works out. And the tricky thing about being a reservist is like we still have our own shit going on. Like I've always had civilian jobs too, on top of everything. You have your family, you have your relationships, you got this, you got that. And then you also have this whole other life in the military where it's like 1 weekend a month, you're a completely different person. And it's just so weird to have to balance those. Yeah. And it's not for everyone. Honestly, it's not even for me. Like, there's no way I'm re-enlisting. Sorry to Uncle Sam, but...
Yeah, no. I understand. Not completely, but like I understand why you, especially your explanations why you wouldn't want to re-enlist. Like, I gotta say, the way you compared it to like living like a double life in some sense is almost like it's almost like a superhero life. Like one moment you're amongst your friends, your families, you're like again going back to it, your civilian life, but then you suit up and then it's go time.
It is go time.
Facts. It's like. But hey, dude, that reservist or like active duty, like I mean, there is a clear difference between the two. But like, you've stepped up in a lot of ways that hell, our own area, like people in our own area don't. People in general, people all over don't, because like you said, it's it's a fraternity, and only a few key people actually make it in any kind of like organization, like a fraternity or like a group with a specific skill set. And dude, even though you weren't active duty, you did it. Like, and congrats, hella respect.
Thanks, man. I tried. I mostly did it for like the internal things. You know, I want to be honest. You get asked that question a lot. You're like, oh, why did you join the Marine? Especially me, because like, you take one look at me, like civilian side, and you're like, that guy's not a Marine.
I knew you before Marines. I remember the Clinton days. Like,
I know. It's not saying like this. No way anybody that knew me back then would have been like, oh yeah, he'll be a Marine in a few years. Like, nobody would have thought that at all, because that's not the vibe. That's not my vibe. You know what I mean? Like, right. I looked like the most drugged out, like I just looked like a stoner, you know? Like, I looked like a classic pothead when I was in college, which is extra funny because, like, I never smoked.
You looked like, what was it? One of the local dudes who was going to start a punk band, and it was going to be called Sludge.
Oh, yeah, that was me. That's what I looked like.
But it would be spelled with a UH, so that there's no copyright there.
Yeah, and the S would be a $.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I looked like that. I had like long ass hair, like down to my collarbone. I don't know. That was just the vibe I gave off. I just looked like a burnout, like, skater dude, which, like, shout out to all the burnout skater dudes, because that was the vibe that I wanted to give off. So,
right.
Anyway, but
no, going back to the superhero comparison, like, tell me something. Have you kept up with any of the Marvel stuff that's come out as of late, or any of the DC stuff?
Where is my super suit? I have a little bit. It depends what your definition of keeping up is, because like, I watch like I saw Thor like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, so did I. Yeah. God, so Thor there. Thoughts on that?
I'd give it a C+.
Yeah, that's what I was feeling too. Like, I might even be a little bit more generous and give it a like B-. But like the thing about it was, I think they were trying to recreate the magic in the bottle that was Ragnarok, and they definitely lost some of the thunder, so to speak. Pun very much intended.
The love and thunder, what might say.
There was some thunder, but I wouldn't say I loved it, definitely.
No, I totally agree. I have quite a bit of thoughts on that movie specifically.
Okay, like, before we go forward, this is the spoiler section of this podcast, so like I would say fast forward like 10 minutes if y'all ain't into those kind of territories. And starting now. All right.
Okay, well, I lost my train of thought. So, I don't know. I loved Ragnarok. It was like one of my favorite Marvel movies, right up there with like, I think Winter Soldier is still my favorite. But like Ragnarok, Black Panther, and then the newest Spider-Man movie.
Oh yes.
Those are like my favorite, and and most of those, with the exception of, Winter Soldier was not probably the least comedic of that group of movies that I just named.
Right.
But the other ones have like this like comedic element, especially Ragnarok, obviously, because Taika Waititi. But like I totally agree. Like, they just didn't capture it, and it just felt super rushed. And there were so many really cool, like, deeper themes in the movie that just like needed more time, and it felt like they just like jumped through them so quickly. And I just felt like I was getting whiplash going from like, oh, Natalie Portman's back. Oh, Natalie Portman's dying. Like, oh, this is like Christian Bale's in the MCU, and he has a really tragic, amazing, villainous backstory. Oh, now he's gone. And it's like...
Yeah, there were definitely pacing issues, especially with the storyline of Jane Foster there, and of course, like... And I'll be honest, like, Christian Bale's take on Gore the God Butcher was absolutely phenomenal. Like, I wanted more of it. Like, I mean, like, will he go down as some of the MCU best villains, like Zemo or what's Killmonger or Thanos? I wouldn't say so, but he is probably he's definitely better than a few that they've had, even in the TV shows. Like, what is it? Moon Knight's villain there. I didn't care for, but that's a completely different rant. But yeah, they needed to do more with Gore, especially because he was the villain of the freaking movie, and we didn't see enough of him.
I totally agree, and he was like, it was. I think they had like the perfect movie there hidden in there somewhere, because like the themes, like the parallels between Natalie Portman and Gore throughout the movie of like needing power to like not die and being like slowly corrupted, and like it's the reason that they like ended up both dying ultimately.
Yeah,
and just like there's a lot of parallels there.
Yeah,
then,
it was
like,
two sides of the same coin towards the end there when like both of them did die, but like the reason Jane picked up the hammer again was out of love. The reason why Gore picked up the necromancer sword in the first place was because out of pure hatred for these beings that mortal people, mortal kind worships and dedicates their lives to. And like the way gods are portrayed in the film, like there were definitely points where you're like, yeah, that seems pretty accurate.
yeah, it seems. I mean, yeah, it makes sense to me. Like if you were, imagine how like pompous and douchey you'd be if you were like a god of something. You know, like it would go to your head.
Well, yeah, because Thor was the same way until like he hung out with Jane and then worked with the Avengers and then stopped Thanos and didn't stop Thanos. Like, what was it? His time with humanity gave him a special kind of humility and empathy that these same godly beings just do not possess.
Also, that man has been through so much. Like Thor has like just been through it. You know, like my man has lost literally everybody in his life that he has loved.
Well,
And he,
maybe not completely, because the secret ending there, like, I was like, okay, so she's there. She is technically dead,
oh
but
yeah. I forgot that was a thing that happened.
I didn't, because one of the secret endings was actually something that made me jump out of my seat. Because what was it? If you paid attention to the comic books at all, there was the ending where it's found out that Zeus actually survived there, and and frickin' he's telling his son Hercules like, yeah, go beat this bitch's ass, and I was like, yeah, because Hercules was a big time rival and opponent of Thor's in the comic books, and I was like, okay, this is gonna get interesting. This is gonna get interesting. But the way the movie itself ended with Thor kind of taking Gore's daughter under his wing there, I didn't know how to feel about it. I think they're setting up a different storyline with like I don't know if it's the Young Avengers or the West Coast Avengers, but something along those lines.
Yeah, they're definitely like trying really hard to plant a lot of seeds for Young Avengers. That's like all of the media lately is just like, how do we set up all of these new things? And I don't know. I think they're gonna struggle with it because like it'll never be the same as like everything leading up to like Endgame. They'll never be able to like capture that again, just because it was so unique at the time that it was starting. Like from 2008, from Iron Man all the way up to Endgame a couple years ago. Like there's just no way to. There's no way to do it again. Like they literally cannot, no matter how hard they try.
I'm a little bit more optimistic. Like, I think they will capture their own unique lightning once again, with especially with the added backstory with the television shows and whatnot. They're essentially creating like their own like Odyssey and comic book there. But after Phase 6, once this, like, part 2 of the MCU is all done, where can you really go? Because the only other thing they can do if they don't make Kang the flat-out villain of the whole arc, all they have left is Galactus. But at that point, what about the other storylines? Like, how are you going to do this? Because if they do Secret Wars, like, where does it go from here?
Yeah, it's tough with stuff like that, with that any kind of media like that, because of the power creep, and like people are never satisfied until, so you feel like you have to go bigger and bigger, which I like disagree with, because you end up. Did you ever watch the show Supernatural?
I have not yet. I have been given shit for not watching it, but yeah, it's on my list, but I'm just not in a frame of mind to watch it just yet.
Okay, so without going into heavy Supernatural spoilers, that show was one of my all-time favorite shows when I was like in middle school and high school, and like it suffered from going on for so long that they had to keep upping the stakes gradually, and it started out as like this sort of Buffy the Vampire Slayer level of like this grounded sort of going from like hunt to hunt, like getting these like low-level monsters and ghosts and blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. And then it just escalates to where it's just becoming absolutely ridiculous. There's like gods and like forces of nature and like all of these crazy concepts, and it gets very biblical.
Well, the thing about it is that's not a bad formula to follow. But what was it? Supernatural's like run was 15 seasons. That with any show is so hard. I mean, some of the best shows and series of all time like have lasted upwards of like maybe like if we're going like episode by episode narrative, and especially a drama like Supernatural, like could only last for like 5 maybe 7 seasons if they play it smart. But like even say shows like Heroes like only lasted 4 seasons, and they really weren't that good of shows.
Man, I remember that show. I binge watched that in high school. I'm sad that show got canceled. I wanted more of that because I really liked the first season of that show a lot. But it's been I'm not qualified to talk about it at all because I don't remember it.
But I tell you what, dude, in the modern day scheme of things, it is so nice to be a pop culture geek, so to speak, of any medium, like what do you call it there? Reading, video games, movies, TV shows, and of course, I don't know where this would fall under, but like of course D&D.
Oh, D&D, you say?
Yes, I do say.
I've heard of that game before.
Yes, I'm sure you have. I have lived and breathed it at times. In the last I would say 7 years, it has fallen off my radar more than it did way back when, just because of the nature of the game, like, and gathering people and making it consistent. That's where the real challenge of the game comes in itself.
Yes, being an adult.
No,
being an adult and having things, all of those pesky things called life that get in the way. The true big bad evil guy is schedule and conflicts for sure.
Yeah, no, for real.
And I want to sort of piggyback off of, like, it's super relevant because you opened with your sponsor, which was that one arcade bar in Plattsburgh, right?
Yep.
So last night I was going to an event in Portland at this bar called Arcadia, which is basically the same thing. Like, it's this sort of cool bar that has all of these retro arcade games, and it has these spaces for people to just hang out and get drinks and spend way too many quarters on old games, and it's amazing. I love it a lot. So I haven't been to One Up yet in Plattsburgh, but I absolutely want to go there. But the reason I'm talking about that now is because last night my friends were putting this D&D event on at Arcadia in Portland.
Okay.
And it was amazing because basically the concept of it was like, okay, we're going to have people sign up, and then people are just going to come in to the bar, get some drinks, and then it's just going to be like a character creation powwow, and then they'll just run through like a couple hours of play. Just really casual, just like hang out, have some drinks, almost kill some level 1 characters, and then just like start to grow this like community of sorts, which is super, super cool. I showed up, and I initially wasn't going to play because like it was kind of geared towards new players. It was like they wanted like new people to make characters, and it was level 1, and I was like, all right, yeah, I'll just watch and help for that. But a few people had to go home early for whatever reason, so like me and a couple of my buddies that also went to show like support, they were like, all right, you're up, make some characters. I just made a cute little rabbit folk monk guy, hopped right in, pun intended, and just got a little buzz, played some D&D, and I love events like that, like the way that D&D can bring people together in all kinds of settings is super cool. And it just, when you were talking about the sponsor, I was like, man, you know what, I would totally, if they did a similar event, then that would be amazing. I kind of want to like put on an event like that whenever I like go back to Plattsburgh and stuff. It's just such a cool idea.
Right, it's great. Yeah, dude, like especially like I mean, I wouldn't know what a bar location would look like hosting such an event, but like people would definitely jump on the opportunity. I mean, yeah, you got AC Gaming Space, you got like you got a few different locations over in Plattsburgh, but like to have it in a bar, I think would be a very unique thing, and you could really draw from the community there. Going off of what you were saying about Arcadia there in One Up, since being down here, there's this one location out in by Universal Studios there. It's called Gods and Monsters. It's a comic book shop, but you go in, and right into the right corner of the building, the space itself, there is a big sign that says Vault 5471, named after the address of the place. It is a speakeasy nerd bar. It is Fallout themed. Well, the sign is, and the drinks are. But you go in, it is so much more. It is small because it is speakeasy style, but you got everywhere on the walls. You got nerd memorabilia of all kind. You got horror movie posters. You got comic book covers. You got the fucking beholder above one of the tables there, like from the D&D lore there. And fucking one's TV screen is like playing anime, like One Piece. Another one is playing 90s Nickelodeon. And there's this one space where like there's 2 separate small TV monitors that let you play like SNES games, and I'm just like, this is the best thing I have ever seen. This is the fact that it's in a comic book shop. Like, what?
I love that. I absolutely love that.
Yes.
Just so I don't get crap from my friends that hosted this event. They're trying to build this community. It's called the Spindle. So if anybody listening, or if you want to check it out, it's just like this community they're trying to build. It's the Instagram is @the Spindle Project. Twitter is @Spindle_project. And we have like there's like a Discord that they're doing, and they're really trying to basically make it so that this can become a thing that like moves from place to place, and they can have all these events, and eventually the plan is to open just this community and this like tavern and gaming space thing.
Okay,
almost
so
like a bread and breakfast and stuff.
Okay.
And just like expand outward, and so they're hustling to try to get this thing.
So it's more of a like community based thing. It's not necessarily one single location. They're trying to also see if like it can spread online through media and like go into other cities.
I think that's the ultimate idea, is to just at first just grow a community of people that just love playing D&D, and get that going, and have it in a space, because there's also that passion for just being social and hanging out and having drinks and just being dumb and like making these memories, you know what I mean?
No,
and they're just trying to build that community, which is what the Discord is for. And the 3 people that I know that have been putting this together for years, they're all like just incredible humans. Shout out to Lucian, Lenora, and Kat, because all three of them are just amazing. Those are three of the people that I met when I literally wouldn't have met them if I wouldn't have moved here. So it's just another reason I'm thankful.
Thank you for taking care of my boy, whoever you are. Thank you very much.
Thank you for taking care of me. of my boy, myself.
But piggybacking off of the D&D topic, let's get into something that took the pop culture world by storm this past year. It has been building since 2016, and it's only had 4 seasons. Soon in a couple years to be 5, which I'll give my own opinions on it. Here is a brief little snippet review and opinion-based recollection of Stranger Things Season 4. Spoilers are here, so this will be the final section of this podcast. So if you want to hear... So if you want to see social media shout-outs and everything like that, skip right to the end about 5 minutes before the video ends, and let's get into it.
Yeah, let's spoil some more shit.
Okay, so I'm going to be real flat out. Like, in terms of the technical aspect, this was the best season of Stranger Things, but... I'll be honest, if it wasn't the way it was written, I think they should have probably ended it this season.
I think they probably could have. I don't think it would have been, but that also I don't really know. It's hard to review, like, as a consumer of media, when things should end, because you don't know what the plans are. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what things are still missing or they still want to wrap up. Because I would hate for it to have turned into, like, the last season of Game of Thrones, where they just rush through everything. And
that's my worry. You know what I'm saying?
But, like, so I'm never mad about more Stranger Things. But I thought this season was the last season. I don't remember
so
if it
too.
was marketed that way at all, but, like, I thought it was going to be done for sure. Until season 5 was, like, announced at whatever point. I don't even remember, but I mean, I also loved it, though. I did love this last season. For me, it's like right on the same tier as season 1. I definitely did not like season 2 that much comparatively, and then season 3 was like meh for me.
Going back to it, like what you were saying before, the dangers of going bigger and better. This is one of those situations where that kind of mentality actually works so well, and especially the way they set up the season. So, first episode, you get introduced to how like the fallout of what happened at the end of season 3 between everyone in the group, where they're at headspace wise, physically, and like just doing their own thing. And then you get introduced to some of the best characters in Stranger Things. We know one, and we'll talk about him pretty soon, but like like the opening episode, you get the feeling that things are quiet, too quiet. Everyone's pretty much on their own. Like, they still don't say if Hopper is even alive yet, although, like, if you had watched certain trailers and whatnot, you probably could have guessed he was. But as far as we know, things are whatever, and then it slowly starts to creep in what's happening. You got Christy, like, having her hallucinations. You have Joyce receiving a letter from a package from Russia, and then you have you realize Elle no longer has her powers, and that's how you create like the situations like that. And then towards the end of the episode, you see what the threat truly is, or more accurately, you don't precisely see it, and it just perfect way to open the season.
I love that too because by the time you get to the end of the season, if you like watch it again, you can really like recontextualize everything as far as so like I had my suspicions right after that about like we said spoiler alert, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So one, right? Like the guy that plays one.
Yeah. Vecna.
When you're yeah. When we got like dropped into that mental hospital, I was sus pretty quickly, and I was like, because they mention one throughout the episodes, and I just from a storytelling perspective, I was like, okay, we're gonna figure out who this person is. I had a feeling that guy was gonna be like one, but I had no idea that he was gonna also turn out to be like. What's his face's son, Robert Englund's character's son.
Yes, that was a big plot point.
I wasn't suspicious of that at all. So they do a really good job of laying things down and giving you a little bit of breadcrumbs and hints to catch on to, but then still managing to nail like the plot twists and stuff like pretty effectively. And I just appreciate that a lot because I hate when shows like kind of like they like it almost feels like a cheap plot twist where it's like you had no shot of like learning anything about it and they just like flip it on its head for no reason.
It's not
like okay, did it need to be a plot twist? Like I don't know how else to explain that, but it's just like sometimes it's really hard to nail shit like that in TV shows and movies.
Right.
And I think Stranger Things crushed it in season 4.
Absolutely.
Also, that actor that plays that guy, the actor that plays One and Vecna is like incredible. He is an unnerving. He's like the most unnerving looking guy.
He is the most charming psychopath I have seen in a television show in a long time. Actually, between him and a different character on a completely different show, Lalo Salamanca, like these are two of my. These are definitely two very charming but very dangerous individuals. But going back to Stranger Things there, what was so really phenomenal is the fact that they also did a great job at connecting a lot of the plot points from previous seasons. Because, like, essentially 11, like, not only, like, Kat created Vecna, but she also, in a way, started like everything that happened with Hawkins in the Upside Down, because if she had not placed Vecna within the Upside Down, like we wouldn't have seen the Demogorgon coming, and Vecna wouldn't have opened the portals for guys like like the Mind Flayer and whatnot. They probably wouldn't have even known that something like our reality even exists. And of course, the fact that Vecna was one, like that's how you build a villain up. And Vecna definitely had one of the best storylines this season in general. And as for some of the separate storylines, like Max really came into her own this season. Max was definitely an MVP.
So Stranger Things had never made me cry before, but that 4th episode was just so much. It was a lot. Like it got me like shedding a tear or two for sure. Like also I literally just could not stop listening to Running Up That Hill, as cheesy as that sounds. But like
I understand.
I just had that song, and there was like there's a composer, there's a musician that I listen to on YouTube. His name's Samuel Kim, and he does a lot of like epic renditions of music. And he did like this epic version of Kate Bush Running Up That Hill, and I literally would like listen to that just for like literally hours, because I could like listen to it in the background for like inspirational music to like get me when I'm prepping for like D&D sessions and stuff. You need that sort of background music, and man, was that good. I actually played it during one of my sessions when one of my characters died. So
yes, and God, Max, like they made me care about her, because like, I mean, especially after Billy's death in the prior season there, like you knew she was like her headspace definitely would need to be focused on at some point, but like the fact that she was so integral to the plot, to Vecna's plot, to like how he would open up the Upside Down in Hawkins. That was top notch, and Max has definitely been slept on up until this point, and now seeing where her headspace is at, she definitely was probably the most vulnerable character out of everyone there, because
for sure.
Her mom's going back to being whatever, her brother's dead, freaking her and Lucas are not together. That one really threw me for a loop, and then seeing the emotional arc as they get back together, and especially how it ends, that was the 2-punch of a 1-2 punch that we'll discuss pretty soon. But
yeah, I think Lucas had it was a great season for Lucas as well. I think he really I love when characters get their spotlight, and it feels like he didn't really have a spotlight up until this season. Not as much as he should, at least, I guess. Because in past seasons, it was sort of like his sister was he was necessary for the plot because his sister was there too. But I feel like this season really he was in it, and especially him with Max. And I really thought Max was gonna die. I'm not gonna lie. I thought I thought she was done there.
I thought so too. I actually bursted out crying a little bit. I didn't want that to happen. I was like, you make me care.
They made you care a lot, and now, but part of me now is how can you? It's so hard to come back from that and make it hit as hard, because how do you kill any of them now? If there was any time for a character to die, it was right there. You know what I mean? There was so much buildup.
Nah, dude. Like we were talking about with Endgame, there, this is the scenario. This is very much Stranger Things' Endgame, which, now the worst case scenario has happened. The fucking Upside Down, all its monsters and all of its, diabolical creatures are in the real world. Now, they cannot hold anything back. They gotta do everything at whatever cost. And guess what? That's gonna cost some lives. There will be at least a couple of bodies, major bodies, that will drop this next season, this final season.
I hope they don't pull the punches. I hope they really I hope they pull it off the same way that they did when they almost killed Max.
Yeah, no.
I hope it hits it hard, and I hope we get complacent, which we are. Which I was all right, well, if she survives that, they're not going to kill her now, she'll be fine. And then I spoke a little too soon on that because they kind of fucked her up later.
Yeah. No, one storyline that I really enjoyed was Hopper's in Russia. Finally seeing the payoff between the romance between him and Joyce. That's been building for so long, and I'm so glad they finally got that relief that they did, and they frickin' earned it. And of course, God, what's the dude's name? The
faceless man?
No. The dude that can speak Russian.
Shit. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I always forget his name, but he came into his own when he freaking does his karate moves against what's his face there, the Mad Russian Yuri. I was okay, this was not what I was expecting. I expected him to get his ass kicked. Holy shit. And of course, with going back to Hopper there, him forming his little bromance with Enzo there, and the battle between him and the Demogorgon, in the little Russian gulag there, that was intense. That will definitely go down in TV cinema fights going forward.
It was a good one for sure. I liked that because it seemed more grounded and real, because all the other areas were getting so the power creeped up, and there was all this Vecna seems just this almighty crazy powerful villain now. So to bring it back to to have it mirror or have it like paralleled with like this other situation happening that's just straight up a monster in a prison. Like, figure it out. Like, I don't know. I like that a lot. I like that, being able to like put myself there and be like, oh, what would I do? And it's hard to do that when it's like, okay, well, I don't have superpowers. I'm not 11. I'm not gonna fucking fight Vecna. Like, but like putting myself in a Russian prison, escaping a Demogorgon is like, oh no, like that seemed. It weirdly felt more realistic. As stupid as that sounds.
No. It kind of like gave me flashback vibes of like Harry Potter versus the dragon in the fourth movie, and of course the Frodo and Sam versus the giant spider towards the end of Return of the King. There, it was the hero was placed in, by all means, what should not have been a winnable situation against like this hugely overpowered foe, and Hopper, like always, he just does it. He knows how to be that badass. Like he very much is the knight of the group. Like speaking of which, did you notice like every single character like kind of fit a specific D&D archetype?
Ooh.
Yeah, because like Lucas in my mind was the brawler. What was it? 11 is kind of like the mage or their own sorceress, and what is it? Goddamn, and you know Eddie. Eddie was definitely the bard.
I mean, we didn't even talk about Eddie at all yet.
Yeah, no, I was saving that for last before we go to the final review. But you did notice that, right? Like all the characters.
Well, that one was the easy one. Eddie being the bard was the easy one because he had an instrument. You know, it's classic, charismatic goofball.
Yeah, I can't wait for this. Like, yeah, we got to do it now, like flat out. So, Stranger Things has always had a talent for making one season characters that are not just like just as good as the main cast, but surpass them. Like, Bob, in my mind, was a highlight for season 2. I know people don't like season 2, but like it's there. It's definitely the lowest season, but I still love it for what it is. With season 3, of course, there was Alexei, the nice Russian, and Billy really came into the to the spot there. Like he really shone there, without a doubt. In terms of one season characters, Eddie Munson is up there in the upper echelon, the Mount Rushmore of them. Like, okay, so this motherfucker, like, I see him with his, like, Farrah Fawcett, like, grungish hair, and I'm just like, okay, this is different. And then when he goes off on a tangent about conformity, sticking it to the prep kids and the jocks. Oh yeah, fuck Jason, by the way. Like, there's another character I can do without. And already this guy is bleeding charisma, and he captivates you. It's like, okay, I'm kind of vibing with him. And the fact that he is so big into heavy metal. He is a low-key, like, scrapper, and he's also a D&D player. They already set him up to be relatable in the most beautiful of way.
He's definitely, absolutely the most relatable character for me, for sure. And, like, I don't know. That's definitely the guy that, like, when I was in high school, I would have been like, okay, this is the fucking guy that I want to be like. And it's, even though, like, in his time, like, in that setting, he was sort of set up to be, like, that burnout. I think he was like a super, super senior, right? He had missed 2 graduations.
Yeah, he was kind of like Matthew McConaughey's character in Dazed and Confused, but more grungy and more nerdy.
So he was probably, like, 19, and he was, like, still a senior in high school, and he's trying to graduate and stuff. And, like, they set him up as, like, that burnout, that, like, dumb burnout. But it's still just, he's so, like, endearing the way he communicates with everybody. And man, yeah, the metal and the D&D just really hit home. And it's a couple of, those two things, like, overlap quite often in my experience.
Yeah.
For me specifically.
Hellfire shirts, like, sold like lemonade at a lemonade stand. For real.
I know. That's what I'm saying. And, like, me being in high school, being, like, kind of a metalhead, of course, like...
Same.
It's just so relatable. I was like, this is me, but, like, he does more drugs, you know?
Yeah. But also, it's not even that. It's the fact that he's so confident. Like, he's so confident with, like, what he loves, who he is, and that is the biggest positive message that his character sells. Like, I mean, he does not give a single fuck. Like,
and they give him a little bit of an arc too, which is cool. Like the being a kind of a coward at the beginning and like running for things, and then finally at the end, he like almost unnecessarily like stands up to fight those awful bat monsters, and like just exuding the courage that he did not have at the beginning of the season. Yeah. And the payoff that Gaten, God, why can't I think of his character's name? Dear Lord, Dustin. Sorry,
Dustin.
That was rough.
Oh my God, the dynamic between him and Dustin and even Steve. Like, I mean, people have memed that they're his real parents, honestly. But what is it? The biggest thing is that they're like a little like brotherly family. I mean, like, what is it? Eddie is definitely the burnout older brother who could care less about like Steve's preppy boy looks, but like, you know, there's still some modicum of respect there, and the love that both of them have for Dustin, you see it, and it is so beautiful and touching.
I love the payoff that Dustin got talking to Eddie's dad at the very end of the show.
Yeah,
that also got me to shed a tear. Cause
no, flat out seeing Eddie die made me cry. Like, my voice is kind of cracking thinking about it now, because like Eddie Munson was such a beautiful character, and like with little moments like the things that are memed about now, like the This Is Music meme, like that spoke to my soul like on an ethereal level. And of course, like, what was it? When he says flat out, yeah, y'all are asking me to go into Mordor, which I'm not a fan of, but the Shire's burning down, so fuck it. And it's like, okay. And then, of course, the biggest payoff. Like, I remember being in my living room watching those final 2 episodes, and when he starts turning up the bass, and right after he says, "This is for you, Christy," and I hear that opening riff for Master of Puppets, I jump out of my seat. I'm like, yes! Fucking yes! And the whole scene of it, beautiful. Fucking phenomenal.
It was very pleasing to the eye. We haven't talked a lot about, like, how pretty these things are. Like Stranger Things, like the cinematography and everything, and the direction is just amazing. Also, like Thor, like to go back to Thor, there was that one set piece in Thor where they were like in that dark, they were like on that tiny dark planet, you know what I'm talking about, with like no light.
Oh yeah.
The fighting.
Oh like, yeah, that was a great,
like,
beautifully shot.
Shit.
Yeah,
oh man, I could go on about that one.
Yeah, I think the reason why like the cinematography was so well, going back to Stranger Things, there was like every episode was like a $30 million budget, I believe, or somewhere around those lines.
Yeah, the money definitely helps. The money definitely helps when you want to make a pretty show.
Yeah, but now that, like, before I give my final take on it, like, here's the danger of that. Like, Netflix, in terms of the shows that made it what it is, they're all done. Like, I mean, what is it? BoJack Horseman's done. F is for Family is done. Fucking, what was it? Stranger Things is heading into its final season. They got something with Squid Game there, like, definitely.
I was thinking that too.
And they had some modicum success with stuff like Bright and El Camino and whatnot, but in terms of their TV lineup there, what is there? Look.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be Stranger Things definitely like filled a weird niche that needed to be filled, and when that's done, it's going to be hard to. I think their best shot right now is Squid Games, because it's coming into its second season, so that'll kind of get the torch passed to it.
Right, Resident Evil is slowly coming up, but
did you watch that whole thing?
The whole Resident Evil, no. I've seen a couple of the first episodes, which their graphics, their special effects for the most part aren't that bad. I just don't vibe too well with the story they've made so far.
Yeah, I watched, I think, up to 4. I think I watched 4 episodes of it, and I couldn't really get into it. I don't know.
It's a complete reimagining of everything.
Really tickle my fancy, I guess.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But going back to it, final thoughts on Stranger Things season 4. Again, in terms of the storyline, I think great on all fronts, save for I think the weakest storyline was probably the ones between Mike and Will and all of them, but they had decent payouts. Argyle was an all right character, but I wouldn't say he definitely got overshadowed by Eddie there. The best character arc definitely firmly goes to Eddie, and I think Hopper needs to be in that spotlight too. And everything was shot beautifully, from the upside down to like the dynamic that was happening within the sanctity of the real world. And again, going back down to it, like seeing that shot of Eddie playing that guitar in the upside down, and then also seeing the aftermath, like what Hawkins looks like now. They very well could have ended this season. Part of me, the dude that's worried that they could fuck it up, probably would have preferred they would have ended it this season. But especially when I saw the poster for season 5, and then remembering the call, it was kind of a callback to the first episode in their first D&D session. I'm like, okay, you might have me intrigued again. So overall, like, phenomenal.
One more quick thing that I want to throw in there is they absolutely nailed. They did it with Robin last season, and with Will this season. Like the stress and the pressure of just being who you are. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
Will's sort of trying to come out and like not being able to like get the words out. And then with Robin last season, I love Robin. Robin's one of my Hawks character. Is like one of my fucking favorites. She's amazing.
Robin, the dynamic between her and Nancy this season, I actually did enjoy. Yeah.
I like it a lot. I like Robin and Steve together a lot. I think they have such a wholesome platonic friendship that I just like. I love it. I want to be a part of that. Like, it just seems so fun and wholesome.
Absolutely.
And then I don't know. And I think season 5 is going to be Will's season ultimately, because it started with him, and I think they're going to try to end it with him as best that they can. And
yeah, because he got shelved this season.
Not have him, like, he definitely barely did anything this season, but they hit a lot of like emotional notes with him coming. Like, well, people will go back and forth and be like, nah, he didn't come out, like, he's not gay, but like, you know.
No, they definitely gave a lot of breadcrumbs. Like, yeah, he's trying to come out, but he does not know how.
And I feel like a lot of people that are like in the LGBT community, like, speaking as somebody that came out as pansexual last year, and like the feelings that I had about that for years growing up, like it's fucking hard to like talk about that kind of stuff with people, especially like at first, like when you first are trying to figure out who you are and like what that stuff means. Like you shut, I personally just shut it down, and I was like, I'll never have to deal with this. But then eventually you realize like maybe you should deal with it and like talk to people, and to see that on screen that was like, it was so well done. It was very accurate, and to see his brother, to see Jonathan try his best to like be there for him afterwards was really cool to see. And I don't know, I think they know that. Shout out to Stranger Things for just crushing it on all of the themes that they tried to tackle and all of the emotional beats that they had to hit.
Yes, if the main cast or the supporting cast or the Duffer Brothers actually stumble upon this one day, like, shout out to all you guys. You've all warmed the biggest nerds in our internal hearts, like in our internal souls. Like, y'all are doing good, and once this series ends, it's gonna be a tearjerker either way. With that being said, folks, when it comes to modern day military life, when it comes to the states of big time shows like Stranger Things, the MCU, and the world of D&D, flat out, folks, we got nothing. And I would like to thank you kindly, Tyler, for once again coming on to the podcast. And would you like anyone to follow you in any sort of way? If not, that's okay too.
I mean, if it floats their boat and they think that I'm like kind of funny, I guess, yeah. My Instagram is just Golden Eagle Shots. Good luck spelling that. You probably will never find me.
No, that is also true, and he's not as funny in person or at all, really, but I give him the benefit of the doubt.
I'm a C+.
C+. Oh, God. And if you would like to see what Life on Saturn Productions has cooking in the future, please follow Life on Saturn Productions on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And if you would like to see what else I personally provide for content, please follow me at Catalyst Jost. That is CATALY5TJ05T on Instagram, and follow me as Daniel Evans Jost on Facebook. And you can view the We Got Nothing podcast on Spotify as of this season. And you can also go back to some of our previous seasons on Spotify. Just be wary of the link on Facebook and on YouTube in the descriptions there. And with all that being said, folks, please keep your vibes dope, keep your zen flowing, and as always, peace.